Okay, so we're back. It occurred to me that I forgot to hook up this guy. Um, we had made the we had made that ripple strength input, and I never actually ripple strength. There we go. We never put that on there. So that's taken care of. And then the other thing that we should probably do before we get any further is make sure, I actually already did this during the break, but make sure that, because this was what we had liked when we were playing it before. This is what we liked, the setup that we had actually tweaked in here. So before I stopped the play, uh, before, so it like doesn't reset itself, I just kind of toggle back and forth a couple of times between here and Substance Designer, and I set all of my input parameters, usually here, the way I want it. And the reason I keep forgetting to apply this is because I don't know if it was the previous version or the version before that, it would do it automatically, and I got used to that. So no, this isn't set up. So amplitude 0.01, for this were ripples, right? Okay, amplitude 0.01. Frequency 0.748. Oops. 748. Blur 4.5 and 232. 5 and 2. This was the same as before, and here we have the opacity is 0.427. That's set. And then the waves are set. Okay, so we got those defaults set in because we know we like that. And this time we're not going to forget to apply it. Apply. Yeah, I keep doing that to myself. It's irritating. Eventually I'll learn. Right. So we're going to do some stuff up here. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to create a color for this. And again, we're gonna base it off of this main color. So we're going to use the same idea that we did here, except now we're we're looking to correct, we're looking to do it, we're looking to make it lighter. We can make it slightly different color, but this is supposed to be like a highlight. So you can I mean, you could base it off of either one of these colors. It doesn't really matter. I think I prefer the green, so I'm going to go with the green because it's more seafoamy. But again, it's going to keep the relationship. So you could have purple water and it's going to keep this same relationship, which is the nice part about this. So we've got the color that we're going to use for the well, we're going to do both. We're going to make an emissive channel, and we're going to take this color and we're going to apply it to the actual color as well. So while we're here, we might as well make our emissive channel. So we're going to go to Output, and we're going to create a new output node, and we're going to call it emissive. And then we go down here, and we actually tell that node what we want it to do. And we want it to be an emissive. Okay. So that's squared away. The next thing we're going to need is we're going to need a different noise. I picked out cells number 3 because it's got that sort of, pool refraction vibe going for it. And then we're going to need another noise. We're going to need another purlin as well, because we want to, I think I've used purlin 2. Let me just double check my notes. Yeah, okay. Because what we're going to do here, I didn't want to use the same purlin noises I had down here, because I'm going to use this for a mask that's going to fade this in and out. I don't want this overlaid over the entire thing. I want these things to appear and disappear kind of like in a really sort of blurred out way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a levels in here, and I'm going to hook it up to this because I want to have the ability, and I might even expose this, to sort of have it just be a bit stronger. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pixel processor for it. And for now, I'm not really going to do anything with that because I want to get the base set up as well before we mess around with this. And then I'm going to just put one more thing in here, which I know I'm going to need. And again, I use this a lot, so I have it in my library. Now, you have an invert or an invert grayscale. I'm going to keep this color for now, so I'm going to use invert. And this is going to take what's going to, well, might as well pull this in. It just inverts your image. I mean, there's nothing hooked up to that pixel processor. Okay. So I want to kind of get both of these little trains running here before I start dealing, because this one is actually going to be a straight up copy of one of these guys. So again, I'm going to use a noise upscale for this because I want this pattern a bit tighter. And I'm going to do the same thing I did here that I did before, so we end up with a 256 by 256 size map here. And then I'm going to copy the which one's, I believe, yeah, the bottom wave. So this guy here. So do Control C, Control V, and hook it up to you. I just want to make sure this is the right one. Yeah, because I took the simplest one we have. And so what this one is part of that underneath wave roll. So we're using the same formula for that. And then what we're going to do up here is going to be a bit different. So let's get started there. That, did I copy off of that? Did I do that wrong? No, I must have copied it. Anyway, let's just see what we got here. Okay, so we're gonna, this is the same thing we kind of were doing with the other ones. And again, there's no rules here. I was just referring to my notes. The one kind of subtle difference that I had between what we were doing before and what we're going to do now is I actually have two different numbers here. So I'm going to get a multiplication node. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it. So I have two of those guys. And now instead of having just a single constant, I'm going to, again, copy paste. I'm going to do two of them, one for each. I'm just going to use the numbers I have in my notes here. I don't, you know, honestly, I don't even remember how I came up with these. They're just going to be what I have, and we can always adjust them later. So I have this one is 0.65, and then I decided I wanted a much lower frequency. So I'm guessing I had a reason for that. I usually have reasons, but not always. Okay. So again, you know, it's the same principle we had before, where we're just changing things out. So this I kept the same. Now what I did, so the position I'm keeping more or less the same. I am just creating a new rotation node. Oh, I keep doing that. Rotation node. And I'm kind of just taking the whole thing and I'm moving it around. This is, you know, these are pretty broad movements on this one, because what's going to happen here, oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put an output now. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. So why isn't this showing up? Let me check that out. Well, no, that wasn't a copy. I guess I didn't click on this guy properly. I actually ended up working on this node down here. This node is still completely empty. You see? So I'm going to delete this guy. I'm going to take this one and I put it up here. I'm going to double check. Because, you know, just because you have this highlighted, it doesn't mean that it's going to automatically switch what's going on in here. You have to double click it. So sometimes I don't double click it enough, clearly. Yeah, so that's what we just made. So we can go back here, and this is an easy enough fix because it's this one that we just copied before. I'm copying it again. I'm pasting it. Problem solved. Okay. So let's get back to my notes. All right. So we can now take this and we're going to invert it. And now we have this basic sort of pool bottom pattern, and we have the moving mask that's going to fade this pool pattern in and out. Before we blend them, though, let's do a little bit more to this one. We can blur it a little bit because that's kind of crazy sharp. Maybe not that much. And again, you know, you can set these as a variable or not. This isn't such a noticeable thing that it's, at least for me, I don't think it's worth setting as a variable, but you know, it's your call. And then now this too will eventually be part of a mask, and it will eventually be grayscale. While it's still color, I'm going to put this in here because this is going to be a mask for an emissive. And, you know, I want it really subtle, and I want to be able to control how bright that emissive is. So I'm actually going to eventually expose this so that that emissive can get brighter or darker or be non-existent depending on what happens later on in this node. So now what we're going to do, we're not touching the color yet. We are now just blending the actual mask that's going to be used for that color. So let's bring out a blend node. And this will be the thing that we're laying on top of black. Because we only want these little white things to emit. So therefore, we want everything else to be black because it's going to be a very, very light map. I mean, or dark map, depending on your point of view. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down to 16. What am I doing? 16 by 16. And I will size this accordingly. I think it's, no, 4. Okay, and we can dock this. Now this then will become our mask. So I'm going to bring in a grayscale converter. I can dock that as well. So now this pattern on top here will fade in and out according to what this mask is telling it to do. And we've already given it a rotation. We may want to put a levels in there, or at least a blur. I think we probably, well, I'm pretty sure we're going to want a blur in here. Because that's, you know, so we're looking at this map now. See, I can, if I double click on this, it shows up in the 2D view, and then I can click this once, and I can work on it, and I can see what's going on in the end result on the other node. So, yeah, I kind of, we can fool around with that later. Another thing we can do, just like we did with the fluid, is let's take a look at what we can do as far as putting some animation on this, because I think it's really nice if you just, again, this one you don't have to overthink. I think just putting a straight up time slider on it will be nice. This makes it bigger and small. I don't think that that's really useful because that makes it kind of stop looking like water. I mean, you could do something fancier in there with that. I think, but maybe just make it overall a little bit smaller there. Okay, so that's going to wiggle around for us in and of itself. I think the purlin we'll leave alone. And so what we end up with here is, while we're here, we may as well make that input parameter. So we're going to call this, I don't even know what we're going to call it. We could probably think of a better word for it later. I'm just going to call it emissive for now because I don't really know what to call this effect. I'm still kind of at a loss for what to name it. And I'm just going to put that on the lightness. And I'm going to have to go back and fix it because I forgot to set it at 0.5. Okay. So this will allow us to take just these guys and make them darker and lighter, which will make them show up more or less before it actually gets faded out. Now we have created the mask that we're going to use for this color blend. So we have, this is the watercolor, and we're going to pull down another blend node. And that is the thing that we're going to be laying these sparkly bits on top of. And then we're going to put this color here. And right now there's no mask, so it is completely covering that one up. But now we have created a mask. We need to create a, I think it'll probably do it for us here automatically, yes. And now what we have on top of this water are these little, I don't know, sparkly bits. So this is the color side of it. So that's easy enough to take care of. And then what we have here is, I'm actually going to undock this because we're going to use it twice. What we have here is kind of confusing looking. I'm trying to make it look a little bit more. Okay, this is the emissive is a black and white map, so There's no sense in making two converters. So that's going to be our emissive map. Oh no, sorry, we forgot. We do need a color for this one. Sorry. I'm thinking opacity map. So we're still going to need that as a grayscale. We're going to make another blend though. This time we're going to just get another black. Well, let's undock this. We'll use this black. We'll use this color. And we'll use this map. So now, instead of this being black and white, oh, because it's set at 16 by 16, so I'm going to have to ramp that up. And now, instead of being in black and white like it is over here, the white has been replaced by this blue. And that's what is going to be our emissive. Okay. So, because I always forget, did I actually set that up? I did. Look at me. Okay, let's publish this out and see what happens. Ah, what happened here? Oh no. Let me take a look. Yeah, I think I just remembered. I think it with the Uber. Yeah, it's a weird. I can only guess is a glitch. Yeah, I freaked out before about that one, so I forgot about it. Okay. Yeah, when you first put in a I don't know, it just it goes crazy like that. Again, I don't know. Let's take a look. So you kind of have these, you see, it's like these little I think in my original, I probably ramped them up by one. I made them a little bit more I lost my words. They're higher resolution slightly than the rest of it. You know, I kind of like this too. But you can do that. You can make them a higher resolution than the rest of it. There's no need to make everything, you know, it's a detail. So we could see what it looks like simply by, that is, no, okay, well, let's see what happens if we bump this up just by one. Make it 512 by 512. This doesn't have to be 512 by 512. We're going to have to move this up. I'm just double checking to make sure that it goes down the line. Again, this is depending on this, so I'm going to have to bring this up one more. And I have to do it again over here. And over here. I don't know if it's going to make an appreciable difference. I just want to see because obviously it's going to take a little bit more processing. So if it's worth it, it's worth it. If it's not, it's not. It's not. But it also might be a function of our, I'm just going to backspace out of all this stuff. It's quicker. I think I'm not going to bring that any further down though. Let's make this less blurry. I think that might be our problem. Yeah, probably. Yep, that's it. So I think they might be a little too strong now, but they're ever so slightly emissive. And so they kind of pop out a little bit. It's a stylization. I mean, obviously, it's a somewhat of a cartoony effect. Um, but I like to make stuff with somewhat of a cartoony effect. So I'm going to leave it right now. What you can do, I mean, if you, well, you don't have to have it, number one. Number two, using this mask here, again, all the principles we've used here can be applied to this. So, you know, this chap here is spinning around, doing whatever it's doing. You know, the way that it spins around and does what it does affects, you know, all the way that that interacts with each other, how much of this stuff you see. Why is this so high? You know what? I'm not even using this. I'm going to just get rid of it. I kind of like it the way it is. I think it can get handled with the blur, and that is a big problem solved right there. Um, oh, what did I do here? Did I just erase my, oh, you know what? I never plugged in my emissive. Let's see what it looks like with the emissive. What did I, oh, now I'm all tangled up. Get rid of this. There we go. Just have to ramp that up. Okay. So let's try it one more time and see. Because I kind of liked it without the emissive. So we may even drop that altogether. Oh, no, I still like a better width, but it's too strong now. So what we're going to do is we are going to get rid of more of this by putting in some levels, I think, over in here. Between here and the pixel processor before it gets blurred. We want much more black. Yeah, that's okay. We'll do this the other way. Hmm? Yeah, you could spend some time doing this. I think we're going kind of long already, so I'm not going to spend any more time doing this. We're just going to take a look at this, but already there's less of it. So you get the idea. Or you could take the emissive off. I kind of like the emissive because I'm trying to simulate light with it. Yeah, well, that's definitely ugly, but get the idea. No, you know what? Let's see what happens if we do this. So I'm actually making that pattern bigger. I do want it more even. Oh, I just hate this. Let's just go back to the beginning. I'm trying to avoid using a lightness node, but I don't think I can get away with it. Let's see what happens here. Oh, no, it's not it either. So I think I'd rather have my lightness node here. So I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna put this back here like this. In fact, I'm gonna get rid of this altogether. I'm gonna get a hue, saturation, lightness. Put that in here. I'm gonna put that in here. And I'm gonna take this whole thing and I'm gonna make it darker. I don't really want, I don't think, I don't really want a lot of white. Yeah, you could spend a lot of time doing this. I don't know how much, this will be the last one, I promise. Whatever it looks like, and you can take care of it at home. Yeah, okay, that's getting closer to what we want it to look like. So it's supposed to be like a super subtle effect, and I mean it's still it's still really patterned for my taste, but you can see those things are moving, and they're moving more or less along with the roll. So it's on that sync, and if you actually spent a bit of time with it and got it to sort of spread out a little bit more evenly, more prettily, maybe use a different kind of noise for it. I'm definitely going to experiment with it because my plan is to take this water that we're finishing up here and then use it for the next thing that I want to discuss, which is how to start making your own materials libraries. So that we're going to take this water and we're going to put it in our library, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to use it to make another material. We're gonna try to make something, you know, I don't know, we'll figure it out. Uh, but that will be the next series of videos will be about how to start creating your own materials library so you don't have to keep doing this stuff over and over again. Okay, so you know, I made a water I like, and I'm going to save it for later so I can use it again and again and again without having to reinvent the wheel every single time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, feel free to leave comments on stuff that you might want to learn, and I'll be if I'm capable, I'll be happy to do a tutorial on it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Bye.